Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. My name is Katie Gideon, and I will be the on camera facilitator for our final April weekly setup. We are so glad that you are here. I also want to give a huge shout out to my co facilitator in the chat, Jennifer O. She will be holding down the fort over there. So if you hadn't worked with Jennifer and I before, we are the former Team Texas. She is in Texas. I was down in Houston, but relocated to Edinburgh, Scotland. So we are so glad to kick off this final week setup for April, even though we know it's one of those kind of weird partial weeks where April and May are there. So if you want to close out your April journal, we'll be doing the rosebud thorn and the mind map there. And then you can obviously get a start on your May side. So we'll be prompting both pages if you're working in the April and the May. But don't worry, if you do not have your May journal yet, they are still going to come. So you can grab some of those sticky notes, take notes there, and then carry it over as you go. But we are so glad you're here. I already started to see some of our returning socialers in the chat. Welcome. And we do have a very special 80th birthday, Leanne. Happy birthday. We're so glad you have chosen to spend your morning getting set up with us. But if you are new, if this is your first social, or if you're new to Silk and Sonder and May is your first month, we definitely want to know if you're here on Monday or if you come to usual setups. So if you are new, make sure you set that chat to everyone. We always love having new people. That is always a nice little reminder of it can be a little overwhelming if you're new because the chat moves at a pretty decent pace, but you can always just click on a message to pause it and scroll at your leisure. We've got some slides, we'll play some music. I will be coming on and off camera, and then you'll all be working on your journal. So it can be a lot of different things at once. So I think part of it is also it could get a little nervous, get a little bit flustered, but that's okay. You start to kind of figure out your cadence, but at the end of the day, no one is here to grade your journal. So you can get as much progress as you can as you want, because we're just glad that you have set aside this time for you and focusing on your self-care journey and kind of finding that center as we go into a new week. So as always, please be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Please respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Limit repetitive product and accessory questions. Redirect customer care inquiries to our team. hello@silkandsonder.com. You can always ask Jennifer and I some questions, but we will probably send those on to headquarters who will have more of the information. And then as always, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if you've had a long week or a long month, we're glad that you're here, and that's okay. We just want to be here to support and celebrate and get excited as we tackle this final couple of days of April and head into May. So we are closing out the April month with the theme of play, and I felt like I kind of went a little maybe off the beaten path maybe of the traditional definition of play. I really sort of embraced the rest and relaxation kind of component, as well as I really latched on to the play on aspect, where it's, I like adding the fun and the whimsy and the spontaneity, but really I realized I kind of honed in on the rest and relax, refresh, but also the play on, where something just didn't go right, instead of just laying on the ground and continuing to just pout or get upset. It was the pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get back into the game and keep going. But I came across obviously the Brené Brown quote of it takes courage to say yes to rest and play in a culture where exhaustion is seen as a status symbol. So hopefully you have embraced this theme of play and found a couple of things that we can carry over into the new month. But I think a lot of it is just embracing that rest and play, even when it may not be seen as the most productive thing to be doing. But that is okay. We need both. As we always say, play is the highest form of research. So we can, we play for science, we play for research, but we also need to rest and relax as necessary just so we can be prepared to take on what's next. So our agenda, we're going to do that final week 4 of the Play Mind Map, and then do Rosebud Thorn, and then do our weekly setups. So if you have not done a mind map with us, they are something that are only unique to the weekly setups. They're not included in the journal, so it is something that you kind of build yourself, either in a blank page or a blank section. And just because we have the 4 different weeks here, it's always great if you show up a little bit late or don't make it to one of the weekly setups. We always include the previous prompts, but the opportunity to dive a little bit deeper into each theme. And what we'll try to do is we do like to keep those, kind of questions and prompts a little open ended so you can kind of navigate and reframe as you continue to explore the theme. But if you're not caught up with with the April prompts, you don't need to do that. You can pick and choose which one you're doing, but we will be doing the week 4. And so for week 4, we are looking at how you can embrace play in your community or neighborhood. And so week 1 was at work and other organizations. Week 2 was the family, friends, and pets. Week 3, it was in the great outdoors and nature. So we're rounding that out with finding play in your community and neighborhood. So my example is the one on the right. I've obviously taken a blank page, broken up into the 4 different categories. If you've been on the weekly setup journey with me, I'm all about the vines and the stickers. This all came from Christmas lights. So I'm carrying that trend throughout the year. So all of mine will look like variations of this. But we're going to think about play in your community or neighborhood. And so kind of another way to expand or maybe narrow down some of these ideas is how can your community celebrate or embrace play, or how you incorporate play in your community. But you can also kind of focus on either maybe your community or your neighborhood. But then I also kind of dove a little bit into, I am someone who has honestly picked up and moved pretty long distances every like 5+ years. So I'm always finding kind of a new neighborhood or a new community. And so it was like, what did I then do to find play? Or what did you do to find the play if you had neighborhoods or communities change? And then maybe did the community or neighborhood use play to kind of welcome you in? And then, as Jennifer and I were talking about this earlier, she also brought up the point of just travel in general. If you are going and you're traveling, how do you incorporate play into exploring those new communities, exploring those new neighborhoods? Because then I was even thinking of, if you go to resorts, are you incorporating some of those playful things? If you go on a cruise, that's now your kind of new neighborhood and community. So it kind of gives you an idea to explore. And then, as we know that sometimes this can be a little bit on the triggering side, but we want you to still try and embrace the positivity around it. So let us know in the chat. We're again on week 4 for close out that April mind map. So we're exploring how you think about play in your community or neighborhood. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I loved seeing that we had some folks like Jennifer, who is the almost play coordinator or play contributor to the community with the events that she plans for her neighborhood and community. But then I loved how a lot of people also identified other organizations that do that. So libraries. For me, it was independent bookstores because I'm such a bookworm. Yeah, so it was a wonderful book crawl. I still follow almost all of them kind of on social media. So I know in San Diego they're having another one coming up. I know San Antonio hosted a couple of those events. And then I know my independent bookstore in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they host an adult book fair similar to like the Scholastic book fairs. So there are always kind of fun ways to incorporate that. I definitely highly recommend just kind of picking your hobby of interest and kind of get connected into that group because they're always hosting some sort of event in those capacities. But I also like the idea of just kind of getting yourself out there and exploring. And as Jennifer O put, as just saying yes. Because we also know that, some of these have different price points, even, if it comes to like local festivals, food festivals. I know Chicago had a big Taste of Chicago event that was always really a big deal. You have kind of the food truck events. So there's always, something you can find. And I think it's just like exploring, getting out there, giving your permission to kind of look and see what community has to offer, or kind of going and finding something fun in a community as simple as that. And that can also be kind of you yourself, or as we know, time is not always our own. So sometimes it's donating or supporting some of those organizations as well, especially ones that you're really passionate about, so that others may benefit from the community and neighborhood concept of play. So thank you, everyone. Hopefully, completing this mind map kind of gives you a couple different ways of how you've already looked at play or how you already incorporate it, but continue some of that inspiration so that you can continue to carry some of those playful ideas into the next month. And so please join me on page 50 in your April journal. If you're working in your May journal, this will be a blank space or a blank page because we don't have the rosebud thorn set up in that weekly yet. But we get our opportunity to reflect on the highs and lows and everything in between of the previous week, which I think is a really great way to kind of either close out your week or in this case, maybe start the week. And so we're going to look at the rose, which is going to be something that was a win, a highlight, something that went well, something that you're proud of, something that made you smile. The bud is an emerging opportunity, something that you're excited about, something you're looking forward to, or something that is maybe out on the horizon that you just haven't figured out what it's going to look like yet. And then the thorn is a challenge, something that didn't go well, a speed bump, a roadblock, or something that is just taking up excessive space in your brain. So you get kind of a little bit on the distraction side there. So for me, my rose, I finished my first strategic marketing assignment. I've started my MBA and I'm very, very early into it, but I was really excited to turn it in. I was really confident in it. It came pretty easily because I am not an academic writer. I have government writing experience. I have science writing experience, which usually doesn't make for very professional writings. But I'm super excited about that and looking forward to the feedback I get on it. The Bud, for me, is an emerging opportunity. I'm headed to a conference up in Aberdeen, which is about 2.5 hours away, and I get to take a train. And I love the train rides here because it's right along the coast. And so usually halfway through, I always want to, basically live out my Heidi fantasies in Scotland, go live in the middle of nowhere with a sheep farm. So I'm excited about the train ride there. It's just really nice and relaxing, and I get to see the ocean the whole time. Thorn work has been a little bit of a challenge. Nothing has gone, disastrous, but it also hasn't gone as smooth as I would like it. So it was kind of more of that like, well, how is it going? It's like, I mean, it's going. So it's just taken up some unnecessary energy and unnecessary brain space that I just wish it didn't, because I feel like it shouldn't have been that hard. But that's where we're at. So if you would like to, please please share your rosebud thorn in the chat, because we do want to join you in celebrating those roses, getting excited with you about those buds, but acknowledging those kind of lower points with those thorns. And we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. It looks like quite a few folks had just some really tough weeks. I know certainly my April did not end with the amount of gusto that it began with, so I was certainly very excited to turn over all of my calendars and move on to May. So that is certainly kind of another one of my buds, I feel like, is that it's a new month. So that means we can leave everything that happened in April a little bit behind, take some of those lessons learned and move forward, but cheering everybody on for some of those roses and exciting things, as well as sending huge love and support for those that have experienced quite a bit of loss or some of the unknown as they start kind of different chapters. That certainly adds to stress, anxiety, especially around kind of some of those medical journeys. But what is really, I think, special about these type of things is being able to kind of put all of those thoughts and feelings out to the universe, with no explanation or no judgment on it, just to kind of have that little bit of release to celebrate, but also acknowledge, as well as kind of sit in kind of the thoughts and feelings that those thorns will bring up. So thank you everybody for sharing. So we're now going to move to the weekly planner portion. So this is going to be on page 52, and that should say 53 in the April journal. And that should say 26 and 27 in the May journal. Man. So if you are in the April journal, page 52 and 53, if you're in the May journal, page 26 and 27, we are on week 18 of this month. And this is just kind of the initial permission to give yourself what you need for this week. So that means if you need to repurpose something, do it. If you want to try something different, do that too. But if you want to keep it absolutely in a traditional sense and everything as it is, each individual, or kind of narrow, kind of weave the connection between the two, do that as well. Do not doubt yourself if you want to do something a little bit different, forge that path, because at the end of the day, as you navigate this week, or as you navigate this setup, always ask yourself, what do I need? Because we know it's going to look different from week to week. We know each section is going to look different from week to week, and that's okay. But this is supposed to be another tool in your toolbox to help you on your self-care journey. So it shouldn't be triggering. It should be a good balance of motivation as well as challenge, but at the same time, help kind of guide and focus in those ideas. So we're gonna start with this week, I want to feel. So this week I want to feel, so we're at the top of page 26 in the May and 52 in the April. Top of that with the this week I want to feel, the way I frame this is I always ask myself, how do I want to feel this time next week? That becomes kind of my lighthouse, my beacon when I'm kind of going back and forth on the roller coaster that is life. It gives me an opportunity to come back to center when I've had the highs or the lows, as what do I need to do to feel what I want to feel this time next week? And sometimes that can be 1% better. Sometimes it is more something or less something. You can embrace the theme with a couple different words, a different word for each week. Maybe it's a particular word and you want to use a specific definition to add guidance for that. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be something new. It doesn't have to be a new word. I know we have some folks that have their word of the year that continues that continuity of this is how I want to feel this time by the end of the year. So they've been using that, or even just like a word that truly resonates with you in that time. You can always reuse those words. It's not reusing, it's not repurposing, it's building that continuity. Stickers are always fantastic way to do it as well. And sometimes it's not a word, or it's not really, you can't be defined by it. So you just kind of slap a sticker there because you want to feel like this happy little, couldn't figure out if it was a manatee or an otter or something, but you just want to feel like this happy little animal with a crown. And that, is going to be that kind of definition for it. So I'm going to turn on a little bit of music. Let us know how you want to feel this time next week. Thank you everyone for sharing. You can continue to put how you want to feel this time next week in the chat, but I always love the intentional optimism of this particular section because, as we completed the rosebud thorn reflection, which again can be that roller coaster of emotions, I feel like this one always comes back to there's always just that little glimmer of optimism or a little bit glimmer of hope of this is what I want to do. I'm taking control of my week with these feelings, and this is what I want to feel. So thank you everybody for sharing. We're now going to move to the weekly major 3 goals, but these could also be the weekly minor 3 goals. These could just be 3 goals. These could be any number of goals, or they could be no goals. So just if you don't like what it's titled, mark it out and title it something else. Grab a sticker and cover it, because again, this is what you need to feel the way you want to feel this time next week. So for me, the 3 goals tend to be kind of the squishier ideas, or as Bailey, one of our other facilitators, kind of calls it the crunchy ideas, where it's not maybe necessarily a thing, it's more of a feeling or an emotion or a mental reminder that I need to have so that I can feel the way I want to feel this time next week. A couple other popular approaches are breaking it up into categories. So there's a professional, a mind, and a body, or just the 1, 2, 3. Someone also tied into the way they want to feel. So they wanted to feel calm, centered, and creative. So they wanted a calm mind, a strong and centered body, and a creative spirit. Some had a school, self, and family. Some did that direct correlation between I have a mind, body, soul goal, and here are the to-dos that I need to do in order to feel the way I want to feel under these particular goals. We love a good alliteration, so productive, peaceful, powerful, or frog, fun, and fierce. Another one is maybe your to-do list. You don't want to live in the to-do square next door. Maybe it feels a little bit better in the grid pattern. So you've got goals, but these are the weekly to-dos. You can do those type of switching in a bingo board fashion. Or sometimes it is just the reminder of have fun, be kind, work hard. Another set of the alliterations with learn, leap into, and let go. So let us know, do you break this down into categories? Do you use some of the alliterations, or are these kind of just the big 3 things you want to get done? Or are they more of the reminders that you need to feel the way you want to feel this time next week? So we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Love seeing again kind of the focus point that people have with the way they set their goals, the way that we break it down. But also for me, this section I don't think changes very much because it kind of again that overarching mental and emotional reminders for myself. But this next section, the to-do list, I find changes almost on a pretty weekly basis at this point. And that's part of it is not only do I try to overlay what I need to get done, but the kind of mentality that I think I need in order to get them done, but also kind of overlaying, prioritizations or expectations around those things. And again, I love this. You get to put whatever you want on that to-do list. And I think sometimes attitude is everything when it comes to tackling the to-do list. So I am more of a to-do fan, and that's where I write down everything that I accomplished because I like to celebrate it. But you can certainly use it as a to-do or a to-da, but as I like to say, as long as it's a to-do or a to-da, it just needs to be to done. And then sometimes to help with that prioritization, I will use the Eisenhower matrix, which is the do, decide, delegate, or delete. But because it is just me, myself, and I in my apartment, delegation becomes a little bit tricky. But if I am not in the mood to cook or clean, especially around meals, I will delegate that to whatever restaurant or takeaway joint of my choice. And same thing with delete. I usually don't delete anything because it's something that has to get done. So for me, it's usually a do, decide, delegate, or delay. The one on the bottom left is a weekly to do that's broken into categories. But if you notice that they have point values assigned to it. So again, it was another element of gamifying or kind of being playful with these, because what they did is each of the sections had different point values. So each thing was a different point value. And then you'll see they repurposed their shopping list for kind of the rewards they got to give themselves depending on how many points they accumulated by the end of the week. You can also put the Tada bingo or any sort of bingo board in there. Pomodoro technique, I think, is also really great, especially when I feel like I've got a lot of energy on a particular day to tackle those. So you can break down the tasks, set a timer, and get those accomplished. Sometimes a lot of it is you have a list of things, but you don't know how to prioritize those and you need some help there. So that's where it becomes the need, want, and hope, or the need and want. Maybe you put your to-do list elsewhere. So this just becomes the to-be reminder, checklist, or an exercise time. Another kind of gamifying of that is to come up with some sort of logo or icon. So the pyramid is the bottom. You complete all your tasks to reach the top of your pyramid or top of your mountain to be successful. Another way to kind of categorize is the call, errands, follow up, and schedule. Or maybe this is just where you had, some low points last week. So you want to make sure that you're not forgetting those happy thoughts and focus on some more of those roses or the things that went well each day. So it becomes the weekly wins. And then again, embracing the particular theme of side quests under the theme of play. So the person on the bottom right turned their weekly to-dos into side quests. So they were going to attack a lot of things. So I love not only the visual of the face on appliances, which I love, but it was still that, it gives you that kind of power, that extra oomph, that attitude of I need to accomplish these, so I'm going to attack them. So let us know what to-dos you are working on, how you use this section, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I'm always a fan of the birthday bingos. I think that's a really fun way to kind of not have the, celebrate either the birthday month bingo, or the weekly birthday bingo, but always a really fun way to make it special. And so I'm always a big fan of those. So I love seeing all of the other to dos, the approaches, the side quests, and how it certainly makes you feel a little bit more like a superhero, even if you're just working on your to do lists. So thank you everybody for sharing. We're now going to move to the habits and activities, which is at the bottom of the page. And so these kind of go hand in hand with the habit and activity tracker for the month. Those are usually things that you want to do every single day. I then carry over a couple of them into the weekly, but I then add the lens of reality to it. And that's where I determine what type of time or availability that I have to dedicate to those habits and activities. So, especially now that I've got a little bit of a weird week because I'm traveling for work, obviously some of my movement or workouts look a little bit differently. I'm definitely going to have a little bit more time to read, so I'm going to embrace that. But some of the other things, so I like to make those adjustments so that I am managing my expectations on my ability to be successful in this category. But maybe these are habits or activities that you want to stop. Maybe you like to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 goal, or maybe you don't want to set a goal at all. And just because there are 5 lines does not mean you have to have 5 goals. Maybe you only have 3. Maybe you only want to do 1 or 2, or maybe you're going on vacation or you're having friends and family over. So it means you want to be present. So you don't want to do any of these. I also know that Jennifer uses this section to kind of connect or revisit some of the other parts of the journal. So maybe you want to add in, update your mood tracker, habit tracker, kind of all of those within the routines, or, revisit your intentions, kind of setting it up that way. But it also could be something as simple as kind of spend time outside, less of the like tangible activities, more of just, again, some of those kind of squishy or crunchy reminders of spend time outside, listen to upbeat music, dress in bright colors, be kind to yourself, acceptance of yourself. And then I always certainly recommend incorporating something fun, something that embraces the theme. I think is always good. And then there's also the kind of reality that maybe your weekdays and weekends look differently. So maybe you have different structures for those. Maybe this is a way that you want to build up your kind of morning or afternoon or evening routines. So they kind of focus on just those areas. So let us know what habits and activities you are working on and how you approach this. Are you a goal person? Do you have ones that look different for the weekends and the weekdays? Or is it more of just like, these are the things you want to look at? Or do you use it to kind of connect back into the other parts of the journal? Love to see that in the chat, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. We are now going to switch over to that other page, page 27 or page 53, depending on which journal you're in. I refer to this as the B side, just because these are great templates, but I realized I just really wasn't using them that much, and I was getting kind of frustrated with myself, definitely getting a little down on myself that I wasn't using them to the full capacity. But I also realized that I didn't really kind of need them all the time, but when I really did need them, they were fantastic. So the meal plan is one of those that you can certainly repurpose, or you can use it as a meal plan. The repurposing we've seen is maybe this is where you track your one good thing, especially if you have a little bit harder time finding some of those roses now and then. And sometimes that's just, I know when I'm in a funk and I'm in just one of those moods, I am just going to embrace and dwell on all things that are negative. So I certainly challenge myself to find at least one good thing each day. But again, it can be a meal plan or a real-time meal tracker if you're on some sort of healthcare journey or health goal journey. I've used it to track some of my symptoms, or it can be a to-do list. A meal plan for the soul. This is where you include some of those reflection and prompts. Again, a health tracker, embracing that theme of play. So this was the quest of the day, or a really lovely place to add in the affirmations from the app, or someone wanted to feel composed or someone wanted to feel strength this time next week. So how did they show composure, or how did they show strength that day? How did you find happy this week each day? Or a clothing tracker. I am a big fan of this. I will actually be using it for my upcoming work trip because I want to make sure that I have everything that I need, but I'm not overpacking. Or maybe this is just kind of how you end your day type thing. We've got some amazingly creative individuals who challenge themselves to write a haiku each day, or an opportunity to focus on a particular word of the day. Another section that does get repurposed is that mind body health plan. So this can kind of go hand in hand with the meal plan or repurposing some of those. Again, we like those alliterations. But I also am a fan of the kind of duality of this is what I'm feeling, so this is what I need. Again, kind of using that theme of asking yourself, what do you need this week? And a way to look at that each day is this is how I'm feeling, so this is what I need. Maybe it is just a place for some fun stickers because you don't quite have a purpose for that. Or again, you can put some of the prompts there, or maybe it's the reminder to observe and absorb instead of getting caught up in things. Here are just some other kind of reminders. Maybe this is where you start tracking that cleaning or decluttering that usually gets associated with spring. Maybe you want to focus on those 7 types of rest, especially when we embraced that part of play is actually resting. Or for some of the readers out there, it's a reading log or asking yourself, how did I care for myself today? The other section that gets repurposed again is that shopping list. Again, another great place for a bingo board. You can never have too many bingo boards in this particular journal. And then maybe you have the daily rituals. This is where you want to put here the boring stuff bingo. I like the ideas for mini breaks at work. Maybe this is a don't buy and buy. And then, as I said, the individual for the to-do list that had points assigned to each thing that was in the journal spread. The bottom left was the pick a prize. So if she got 40 points, over 40 points, those were her options. If she got under 40 points, those were the options. So again, another fun way to gamify. But I also like the idea if you can kind of incorporate whatever sort of reward that you want, which makes, again, that kind of added motivation. So I will go back and scroll through these. Let us know how you use the second page, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing all the different ways you use this page as the repurposing. And then the last section, which is the I am loving, is an opportunity to maybe reflect at the end of the week or during the week, just the things that are really making you happy, that are making you smile. So if you want to share into the chat the types of things that you are loving, for me in particular, we've had quite a bit of sun in Edinburgh the past week, and it's been really nice. And I love that the sun doesn't set here until like 9 o'clock. So I'm basically a glorified houseplant at this point because I get to keep the windows open and see the sun. But as always, we would like to continue the conversation into the app. So if you would like to share your pages, we would love to see those. And usually there is a bit of a flurry of activity in the apps after these socials. So if you still need a little bit more inspiration or ideas, you can always go and check that out. And then we also do have our 2 different sticker options. The monthly sticker subscriptions are tailored to the very specific journal. So the May sticker pack, for example, that is available is themed to the May theme, not only with the color scheme, but also the overall theme. So you have that option to add on there. And then there is the kind of evergreen sticker set, which is a 2000 plus sticker packet, which is generic. It still fits the silk and Sonder aesthetic for the journal, but it is something that you can use basically the rest of the year as you go back and forth with those. So those are the 2 options. And if you follow us on our social medias, we have announced the Elevate Planner, which is a bound book that will be able to kind of reflect, manifest, and act. So it's a combination of these. It'll definitely have a different feel and vibe than the journals, and same thing with the Life Poem Workbook, if that is something you are interested in. Jennifer is also including all of the links, specifically the survey. We love to hear what you have to say, especially when it comes to what socials you want to see, when you want to see them. So if you have dates and times that are specific to when you want to do it, make sure you include your time zone. She's also included the YouTube link in the chat. They usually get uploaded within the next couple business days, but over the weekend, especially if you miss the monthly setups for May, those should be available later today, if not until tomorrow. So if you do have to leave early or show up late or can't make those at all, you can always catch up on YouTube. These is the songs that I played. I will include the Spotify link in the chat, but thank you everybody for joining us. So glad to start this Monday morning off with each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, fantastic last couple of days of April, an amazing start to the month of May, and we hope to see you again. Bye.
Today will be the perfect day. I got a feeling something good is gonna come my way. Never mind all the people that might hate on me. Never mind all the crazy things they say to me. All I know is I got a good feeling, and nobody can take it away. Yeah. Can't rain on me, I'm made of sunshine. You might be colorblind, but I see blue skies. Clouds may cover me, but that don't bother me. Every part of me is smiling on the inside. You can't rain on me, I'm made of sunshine. Don't be surprised to see light in my eyes. Every cloud I see has a silver lining. You can't rain on me, I'm made of sunshine. I'm made of sunshine. I'm made of sunshine. I'll be honest, I can't find a reason to complain. See, life is beautiful and paradise ain't far away. My heart is beating and my lungs are filled with oxygen. I got a roof to keep me dry, a place to lay my head. Even when I wake, feels like I'm dreaming. No, I wouldn't change a thing.